All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. This is going to be a fun one. As you can see here, this is a Thor Love and Thunder spoiler discussion. I have a team of Avengers here that I'm going to bring in a little bit to introduce to you all to discuss this film. This is going to be a fun one. Again, spoilers. So I assume I'm going to put this out when the film is out. So I assume you've seen it. If you haven't, go check it out and come back and join the conversation. But before we get into this spoiler discussion, because we're talking post-credit scenes, phase 4 rankings, what worked, what didn't work, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be a fun topic with time codes and all that stuff in the description. But friendly reminder to like, share, comment on the live chat that I'm going to put on the premiere of this video. And of course, once you guys are watching this on the replay, if you can leave your thoughts in the comments, that'll be greatly appreciated. But with all that being said, let me bring in my Avengers here. First off, bringing in a person you've seen on the channel before. So excited to hear her thoughts, especially knowing our history of discussion of other Marvel shows, of how Thor Ragnarok ranks on her MCU. I'm very excited to hear her thoughts on this new film. Talking about the one and only Amanda.
Hi.
Amanda?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about Thor Love and Thunder. I have some thoughts.
It's here. It's here. We're in phase 4. This is the 4th Thor solo outing. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, Amanda, between Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, who would get a 4th film? Thor was not anywhere near the top of that. He was the bottom of the list. But here we are, Amanda. But before we get into the discussion and bring in our other guests, why don't you let the people know where they can find your awesome content?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you guys can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'm an entertainment journalist and film critic. You can find some of my work over at Collider, Geek Bomb, and my own website, candidxcinema.com. You can find me over at Candid Cinema on YouTube too. And yeah, I'm excited to break this down tonight with Elliot and our other special guest, celebrity guest. So it's gonna be great.
Yes, man, and it's gonna be a great discussion. Again, I'm so excited to have you on because again, we know how you feel about Ragnarok and kind of where the Thor character plays within MCU. So again, I'm just really excited to pick your brain on this one and see where you stand after we get this discussion going. But Amanda kind of alluded to it. We've had this person on the channel before, but since then, I mean, he's bumping elbows with Thor. He's bumping elbows with a Doctor Strange, Elizabeth Olsen, Wanda. I mean, this is a celebrity that we're going to be bringing in here in a little bit of man. I'm talking about the one and only Michael from Black Gay Comic Geek. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? I appreciate all the compliments. Words of affirmation is my #1 love language, but I'm like, y'all are gassing me out. I'm trying to get like y'all. Amanda's like, yeah, you can find me on Collider, Goofball. I'm like, I need to get on all these platforms. Like, what's going on?
Listen, I'm in the presence of two awesome people here, Mike. Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been a minute.
I'm glad to be on. I always love coming on and being with you and Amanda and Chris isn't here, but I love.
He hasn't seen it yet, but we'll catch up with Chris and see what he thought about it, man. But again, Mike, it's been a minute, man. So excited to see you talk about this film, talk about what it means for the future, all the different stuff here. But why don't you let the people know where they can find your awesome content, man?
So yeah, you can find me all throughout the interwebs, Black Gay Comic Geek, everywhere, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. And I always say the things that I love to talk about has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the 4. And I also like to talk about Black representation and queer representation. So if that's something that you're interested in, come slide over to my YouTube channel, my TikTok channel, which is the majority of where my content is posted. And, come join me in the safe haven.
Yes, sir. And Mike, man, you've been my inspiration. I've put my feet into the TikTok world, putting out some videos and whatnot, but I'm trying to get on your level, man. You, like I said, you and Amanda, with Amanda killing it, articles for YouTube channel, you doing all your stuff on the red carpet and TikTok. Again, I'm in the presence of two amazing people, ladies and gentlemen. So like Mike said, like Amanda said, the links are in the bio. Subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. You guys are in for a treat with these two amazing people here. So speaking of amazing, or maybe not amazing, we got a film to talk about. And that is, and like I said, up top, Thor. I did not anticipate when we first met this character, 2011, after we got the trinity of him and Captain America and obviously Iron Man. Mike, man, did you ever think that we would be 10 years, 11 years now from introducing Thor, that he would have his first MCU character to get their 4th solo outing? Was that something that you thought was in the realm of possibility?
Absolutely not. If you asked me who would get a 4th movie, I was like, of course it's going to be Iron Man. It's going to be Robert Downey Jr. He's going to do an Iron Man 4. And then after that, I would have said, okay, maybe Captain America. But like Thor, he wasn't even. I would have chose any other character but Thor, especially considering how garbage Thor: The Dark World was.
Yeah.
And now, granted, there are a lot of people that didn't like the first Thor movie. I didn't hate the first Thor movie.
Yeah.
I liked it. I was like, okay,
it's not memorable, but yeah.
No, it's not memorable. I was like, I don't hate it. It wasn't like there are people that thought it was just like what's the worst thing of phase one. And I was like, nah, that goes to the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, that and Iron Man 2. Those two are tied.
Facts. Oh my god.
Facts.
Yeah.
But still, like Thor to be not only just like getting a fourth movie, but like between Thor Ragnarok and this one, like we're gonna get more into it, but just like the fact that Chris Hemsworth just keeps getting better and better as Thor as we go along. Like that's not something I would have expected. And so I would love to see him continue even breaking, because he talks about wanting to break Hugh Jackman's record. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I mean, and he said it on the, as you know, you were on the red carpet. He said that as long as fans want him and MCU wants him and Kevin Feige wants him and has more stories to tell, he's going to do this as long as he can, because he's one of the few actors that admits that this built his career. Some actors kind of shy away from being known. And again, I can understand you don't want to be known just for one thing, but this built his career. This is his most popular character and he's having a fun time, like Mike said. And Amanda, same question for you. Did you anticipate, Chris Hemsworth in 2011, 10 years, 11 years later, to have his fourth solo outing?
I thought I was going to get Steve Rogers forever. That didn't end up happening. Not that I'm upset with that. I think that his arc kind of ended in a way that made sense. And I love Mackie as Sam Wilson, so it makes perfect sense. But Hemsworth, just like as Mike said, like he grew into this role and it just gotten better and better. And I think him putting his own spin on the character helped it kind of like progress throughout the MCU, because if you look at him like 2011 Thor, like we have gone so far past that. Yeah, right. So I think that it's a more seasoned performance. It's a more seasoned hero, which we also need in the MCU. And I think that that's he's in a very good position. I like this version of Thor, and after this movie, there's so much longevity past this that he can end up doing as well. So I'm really excited for him, and I'm happy that his movies got better and better.
And in many ways, I almost kind of feel like him becoming the more comedic Thor that we see him as now, which works well with not only just the character, but Chris Hemsworth's comedic timing. Period. I think a lot of that mostly has to do with him being in that all female version of the Ghostbusters.
Yes.
That is a good point, Mike. That's a good point, man. That's a really good point.
Yeah, as much as people hated that movie, I feel like that's when they like saw because that was like really the first time we really saw him do a comedic role. And then all of a sudden, like it couldn't be a coincidence that we're like, hey, let's kind of put that in the Thor movies.
Yeah.
It is a good point, and we'll get into that as far as how Thor plays out in this film. But yeah, I think for me, and this is for someone that I didn't really grow up reading the Thor comics, he just never really appealed to me. But yeah, seeing him in the progression, and we'll talk about Taika, I think that plays a lot into this, transformation of a sorts. And also too, I'll give the MCU a little bit credit, and I don't want to bring this person up too often, Joss Whedon. I'll give him a little bit of credit of the Avengers kind of implementing a little bit of that more jokey side. And that's the last time you heard Joss Whedon on the stream on this discussion. But you saw the transition, but Taika definitely kind of played more into the comedic elements of the character. And like you said, Mike, Chris Hemsworth, great comedic timing, and also the dramatic moments too really works for him as an actor. So let's just jump right into it. Amanda, we open this film with and I'm a fan of villains, and we'll talk about Mr. Christian Bale here in a second, but when you open the film with your villain in a way that you understand where he's coming from and you sympathize with him, your thoughts on how we open with him losing his daughter and then coming across this oasis and the god that he worships, which I can't remember the name of that god, and just kind of making fun of him, and this is where the path of vengeance and chaos and all gods must die begin. What did you think about this opening sequence?
I thought it was a different opening sequence. I thought it worked because there's so much backstory with Gorr the God Butcher, and this was the only way that you could kind of fast track it and present him in a way that the audience can connect with him. And we've always said that if we can understand the villain and why they're doing certain things, that just makes for a more compelling story. And I think that Christian Bale was outstanding in this. A bit underused for my liking, like any other MCU villain, but for what we got for Gorr, I thought he looked really good. He doesn't have to look like Voldemort. I saw that on Twitter that people were kind of like, why doesn't he look like the comics? And I get that, but I think contractually, I think there's like a percentage of like makeup that they have to put on for certain actors to actually be presented in films. So to know that that's Christian Bale, like obviously, but the performance was fantastic to open with something that's so strong and powerful like that. And to see that level of like, it kind of sets the tone of like love and then like darkness at the same time, and how the like grief affects that and loss affects that. So I think that was really powerful opening, and it's very like Taika Waititi. I thought like it was just right off the cuff, and I thought it was really strong.
Yeah, tossing it to you, Mike, in regards to this opening here, and Amanda kind of alluded to it. You know, we get this whole through line of what the tragedies, especially Gorr and Jane, have a lot of similarities in regards to how they obtain power, what they do with the power. One chooses it to use for chaos and destruction, and one chooses it to save people. Your thoughts on Christian Bale as Gorr the God Butcher?
Christian Bale, I thought, did a great performance as Gorr the God Butcher, and I'm glad he wasn't doing the Batman voice for anything like that. But I would say honestly, like the way this movie opened is really the only negative I have with regards to this movie, especially considering what we know ended up happening and considering the runtime with this movie. I personally wish we got to see more from the opening. Like they could have added another 20 minutes, and that 20 minutes could have been injected solely into the beginning of this movie. Like I want to see him not just lose his daughter, but show me lose his whole family. Show me show me all the loss that he's went through, and then show me what caused him to still be devoted to these gods despite that. So then when we got to the moment that he actually met a god and was still devoted to that god, we could see like, all right, it makes complete sense of why this moment and why this flip happened. And so that's the only thing that I would, because like we didn't really get to spend that much time with Gorr. And then all of a sudden, I'm a villain. I want to take out all the gods. But I still didn't really get that level of connection and that level of empathy that I would have needed from. And I think what you could have did with that is give me an extra 20 minutes in the beginning to show more of Gorr's story. And so that's really my only real criticism regarding this entire movie is the fact that they could have gave me more from this opening, especially since this is like the shortest Marvel movie of Phase 4.
It is officially, it is officially the shortest one. Yeah. I'm wondering why that was. You know, it's not WB when they mandate a certain thing. I'm very interested to learn more about behind the scenes on who made that call. Was it Kevin? Well, Kevin Feige? Was it Taika? Did he just feel like it was a title? I'm very intrigued to know if that ever comes out. But Mike, that was in my notes, was actually, I love Gorr, and I think that Christian gave me more in the role than what you just alluded to than what was given, because there was an article out there a couple days ago about one of the greatest villains of all time, Cersei Lannister. Lena Headey was apparently in the film and she got cut. And I wonder if she was going to play, to Mike's point, like a family member, his wife, someone close to him. And like you said, Mike, I would have loved to have, and maybe not even in the middle or in the beginning, but maybe like sprinkled throughout the film, we get these little flashbacks of him maybe explaining to Thor what he went through. I would have loved, to your point, to have seen all of losing his family, losing his, all the stuff around him, and leading to that point versus, like you just said, it was just kind of like, my daughter died, this god, which, Mike, I know you're the big comic fan. What was it wasn't Noel, because I know Noel's like the symbiote god, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think it was him. I can't remember who that guy was. And like, it felt so convenient. Like, oh, that god that Christian Bale prays to just happened to kill him. The sword happened to be there.
I don't know who that god is.
He was fun though.
Why, like Amanda alluded to, it was kind of a different open. I'm like, oh, okay, this feels different, looks different. So I'm definitely excited to revisit it. But it did feel like it was a little bit, again, just like quick and not as much development from that character. Do you have anything to add to that, Amanda? Did you feel like it was a little bit maybe left on the cutting room floor with Gorr?
Yes, because I feel like Gorr the God Butcher, like I haven't read the comics, but from what we've got at the beginning of this, like he's a massive villain. So for me, like, I feel like in a trilogy type of thing, like he would be the baddie, like Thanos level. That's like how I like interpreted that. So I think that it would have been better as like a lead up, like, oh crap, like this is the third movie. Thor has to face like Gorr the God Butcher, and like that could like impact so much more. But like for a small scale like villain that's contained, and we're not gonna like, see him progress like that, I just felt like it was wasted, because it's Gorr the God Butcher. Like there could have been gods across the galaxy, different galaxies. Like he could have been taking them all out. We could have seen that, but
We'll get to that a little bit later because
it took like 3 Thors from the future, present, and past to try to take
fight
him.
him. Yeah.
And even then, he still got his ass beat.
Yeah, like
and to your point, Amanda, you mentioned I thought there was a huge missed opportunity to not have Gorr show his menacing. I thought he was going to be the one that was going to kill Zeus, which we'll talk about how that scene to me was a little bit didn't work for me. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But Mike and Amanda, you guys hit it right on the head. I think there is so much, and again, not knowing as much about Gorr, but from what I've heard, like Amanda said, yes, he's it's like serious. And Mike said 3 different Thors, old, young, new. And I guess they kind of did that in this film with Zane and him and then Valkyrie, if you want to call it that. But much different than the comics. But yeah, this is is it phase 1 again with this character, you think, Amanda and Mike, as far as like a wasted opportunity? I'm going to say wasted because Christian gave a good performance, but was there kind of that phase 1-isms where this was yet another villain that was maybe cut a little short?
I think so. I love him. He put on a clinic. He ate that scenery. Like it was just he's a seasoned actor. Same thing with Natalie Portman. Like they elevated those scenes and they like fed off of each other. Like this entire cast like really brought their A game because of Portman and Bale being in this film. But yeah, like the same thing with Cate Blanchett as Gila. I absolutely adore her. Wasted. Like it's just it sucks when that happens because they're so good with the time that they have. But yeah, it just underused for me.
I partially feel like at this point, like in many ways, I feel like, and this is for myself included, I feel like we just need to let it go when it comes to Marvel and like iconic villains, because it's something that not even just it's been a trope since phase 1. Like name the most iconic villains in the MCU: Loki and Thanos, and maybe Killmonger. And a lot of what the what's the word I'm trying to the fact that Loki's so iconic is part of it is like we got him in multiple movies. We got him in the Thor movies and the Avengers movies, and we got him in his own show. And Thanos, he's iconic because the first Infinity War was his story. It wasn't about the Avengers. So they were building the movie around him. And I would say even kind of the same thing with Killmonger. Like they built the story around Killmonger. But like when it comes to every single MCU villain, like they're all like, despite as much as I love Cate Blanchett as Hela, is like she should have been utilized way more. You know, she's the goddess of death. Thanos' whole thing was because of death. Like I was like, she's totally gonna show up in Avengers Infinity War because she can't die. She's the goddess of death. But it's like, nope, we're gonna and it's Cate Blanchett. You don't use Cate Blanchett as a one. And it's like, but nope, they do it. Christian Bale, one and done. They keep doing it time and time and time again. And I feel like at this point we just need to, like, what was something that we complained about Falcon and Winter Soldier? The fucking flag smashers. Flag smashers. It's always a thing, time and time and time again. So it's like at this point we just need to love that they do heroes and maybe forget it.
Every now and then, every 7th film, we'll get a good villain.
Yeah,
they're not DC with great villains. Like DC is known for having iconic villains,
right? And they give the villains the time to shine. The Batman and Riddler's still around. We got another Joker. We got a Joker film, and the sequel coming. You know, so I definitely
Marvel. They're gonna kill the villain at the end of the movie. Like
and it's I guess it's a double-edged sword. One, to you guys' point, Cate Blanchett, Christian Bale, and all these incredible actors. They probably want to just scratch it off their bucket list. You know, I want to be in a superhero. Well, Christian Bale, we know he was in Batman, but maybe it is a harder sell to get a veteran like a Christian Bale to lock into 3 films versus a young up and coming actor, Michael B. Jordan, who's rumored to maybe appear in the Astral Plane and Black Panther 2 or whatever they do with that. So there's a little bit of that. And Mike, to your point, man, it's the villains are simply used to prop up the villain or the heroes really, and just be a launching pad for them to achieve greatness and become the heroes that we know them to be, which is, it works to your point, Mike, but every now and then you just wish we can spend more time with these villains. Because
especially when you think about all these new characters that are showing up, like I would like to see like Sam Wilson. How would he deal with a Red Skull? Especially now that we know that Ross, granted, it's not going to be Hugo Weaving, but we know Ross Marquand was able to
came back and
copy his voice. So why not do that? Or like how would Riri Williams deal with Ironmonger? Like stop killing these villains and like let the new kids on the block take them on. Like,
Yeah, that's very true. And listen, who knows? We just got the multiverse of madness, and we're in the multiverse. They might remix a character here and there, recast a villain with a newer actor from another universe. We'll see what Marvel has up their sleeve, and we'll talk about Phase 4 a little bit later. We still, we're assuming Kang right now is the big bad, and we haven't seen him since Loki, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But getting back into this first half again, we start off with a little bit more of a serious note. And then we dive into more of the what's Thor been up to, Amanda and Mike, and he's been, from God to the God bot, bringing back his God bot and all that stuff. There, we see that he's working with the Guardians and doing their things and saving people. And Thor's at the point now, Amanda, where he just wants to rest. He just defeated Thanos. His mom's gone, his brother's gone for the 19th time. He's lost Odin, he's lost his hammer, he's lost his eye. There's a lot going on with Thor, Amanda. What did you think about this kind of opening? The John Claude Van Damme holding his two legs, holding on the machine, and the whole damn thing that we got in this action sequence here.
I found it really refreshing. I think that scene between Rocket and Groot was like adorable. I missed them so much.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the Guardians, or the lack of, I should say.
But I really liked it. I think the whole structure in Korg telling the legend of Thor, telling a story to these kids and like, let's sit around the campfire. It kind of reminded me of like the opening of Black Panther and how beautiful that was and like telling the story in that case. Yeah. So you make the audience like tune in and actually listen and pay attention because you're telling them a story. And like Korg's voice, obviously Taika does a great job, but I think that they did a better job in this film dealing with his grief and his loss and how he harnesses that versus what happened in Endgame. And I think that you just see the progression of that, how closed off he is at the beginning of this. Like he's a robot. He turns it on, turns it off when people ask him to do something. Yeah. He completely just repressed every feeling that he's ever had. And I think that's why I love this so much, because it can resonate with so many people, whatever they've experienced, like through love and loss. You really see the beginning of this film. I like that it was campy. I like that the action was a lot of fun. I am an absolute like diehard Guns N' Roses fan. So the soundtrack was killer for me. Like I was just like tapping along. Like I was just so happy. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. They brought the camp. And I just think that it was different. Again, like it's Taika written all over it. And I appreciated that he took the time to actually explore how he was feeling in this post-Endgame.
Yeah, well said. I mean, Mike, yeah, kind of what Amanda said here as far as just this Thor at this point. He's 1,000 plus, maybe pushing 2,000 years old. He's fought, won battles, lost loved ones, close ones, lost some Avengers and all that. But now he's at the point in his life where it's just like, I've done all this, but what does it lead to? Loss. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my heart off. I'm not going to love anymore. I'm just going to fight when I'm needed. And I'm just going to try to find myself after all this time. Your thoughts, Mike, on this opening here?
I absolutely loved this opening sequence, and it made me wonder, think to myself, I'm like, who tells a better story, Korg or Lewis from Ant-Man? Yes. Like Amanda said, the soundtrack and the score that was going through this opening. Yep. And also, like, I love that they really showed how powerful Thor is in this movie. Like, I was like, where was this in the first Avengers movie? Like, what?
Right. Telling you, Mike.
Granted, they showed like in Infinity, like he took a star to the chest, but I'm still just like, they really let Thor cut loose in this movie, and I loved all of that. And then also something I loved is like, despite his godliness and people looking for Thor for help, and even like him being way more powerful than the Guardians of the Galaxy, even though freaking Star-Lord is like kind of a god, even though I don't think he has that power anymore. Not really.
Yeah, I think it's gone. I think his since the old dad powers are gone. Yeah.
But even still, like I love how much like his power just dwarfed the rest of them. But at the same time, like I love that despite that level of power, it still shows that Thor is still human at his core to the most. Like he's gone through, out of all the Avengers, him and Wanda went through the biggest amount of loss. And like with him being old, like he's lost friends, he's lost loved ones, he's lost his family, he's lost his planet, he's lost his hammer, which we'll get into later. But like, like Amanda
love
says,
triangle like, there with Stormbreaker.
So like Amanda says, like at this point he's just a robot. Like he's still a hero at his core, so he's gonna be there when people need him to be. But like he doesn't want to feel anything. He doesn't want to, like, when he's not helping, he just wants to sit and be a hermit. Like, he's going to work out because, like I said, people still need him. So he wants to be in the shape that he needs to be to help people. But at the same time, it's like, I'm done. I don't have a planet to go to. I just want to, people just leave me alone, and I'm gonna cut off my heart because that's the only way that I can deal with the loss that I've dealt with. So it's like, I love seeing that state of mind that Thor is in. His body might have healed healed, but he's still not healed from it.
Well said. Well, so you guys couldn't said it perfectly myself. So we have this debate about Superman. Why can't DC bring Superman to light? He's not relatable, as DC says, whatever the case may be. But God, we have a God here. We have Thor, the God of Thunder, and what makes him more relatable than someone that's dealing with grief, dealing with closing off his heart, dealing with loss? And I'm very similar to Thor. Whenever I deal with tragedy, I sometimes try to find the more comedic element. I try to just put a smile on and try to think about it, try to decompress it. And Thor is doing the same thing. So definitely relatability. How do you relate to a guy? Well, they did it with this character in this film. And I think, like you all said, the opening here really kind of opens that up. The only issue I have with it, and just kind of transition into this opening, I'm a Guardians fan. I'm a big Guardians fan. And, yes, it makes sense that we have the cap off. Okay, what's Thor been doing since Endgame? We know the Asgard of the Galaxy, but Mike, is it just me, or I didn't even feel like they were needed in the film? Because we see them in the movie. They obviously have their missions. They see that there's a disturbance in the galaxy. There's gods are dying, and their whole mission is to figure it out. Which I'm surprised. Gamora, I wonder where she's at. But Chris gives, or so Chris.
Remember she ran off. She's not part of the Guardians.
Where is she?
Yeah, it's a new Gamora.
Yeah, I wonder if she's chilling at Dairy Queen. Or is she working with Ant-Man there? So I'm very curious on that. But I don't know. I just felt like the Guardians and I feel so bad for Dave. Well, probably got paid $7 million to do this, but I don't know why they put him in all that prosthetics to just have. I don't even know if he had a line, maybe one line, but I don't know, Mike. Am I wrong in thinking that the Guardians were kind of pointless? Besides the message of finding someone you can feel like shit like, and I get all that, but
no, I mean, ultimately they weren't needed, but I still like seeing the Guardians and Thor together. Yeah. And I wish we got to see a little bit more of that before they separated. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like you had to have them because last time you saw Thor was with the Guardians. So you have to somewhat explain, without just saying, passing reference, just to the fact of more or less fan service. You get to see Thor with the Guardians. So here they are, and now they're going away. So no, they weren't needed, but it was still nice to have.
Good to see them.
Yeah.
And then it also goes to and plus when you think about it, you got Thor and the Guardians, what can they really do?
Or in the backup dancers.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, that's true. And again, I'm very, don't get me wrong. To your point, Mike, yes, it is great to see. This is the MCU. So at this point in time, whenever we see a Marvel film now into whenever, there's going to be some type of cameo, some type of other, because the world's so large now. And we haven't seen the Guardians since, Endgame. So Amanda, did you feel the same? Or you were like, man, I wish we would have got a little bit more than maybe in the third act of the film, maybe helping Thor out, or did you feel like it was just perfect amount of Guardians?
I do and I don't. I feel like this was just based off of continuity that, like Mike said, that they were there the last time we saw them together with Thor. I completely get that. But I do think that this was more of a reminder that Thor doesn't have his chosen family. You know what I mean? I think that the Guardians kind of adopted him, and I kind of took it more of it was a family that he had to look at, and that's what kind of broke him. And when he went back and tried to figure out what to do next, who to find, where to go to, and I think that was the little nudge that the Guardians were needed for. I miss them. I do. I think they were really cute together. That little scene between Thor that we saw in the teaser trailer, it's you have to find your loved ones, and then Thor's following Star-Lord, and it was just really cute and fun.
You can take your shit back. I'll let you.
That little stuff. Exactly. Yeah. So it was needed, but it could have been more than that, but it just the nudge that he needed for the rest of the movie, I guess.
Yeah. That's a great point that Amanda mentioned. At this point, Thor is still trying to find himself. The Warriors 3 are gone. Lady Sif, the people that he grew up with are gone.
Yep.
The original Avengers, Cap, Iron Man, Black Widow, they're all gone. So Guardians of the Galaxy are more or less his de facto family because that's all he really has. And then on top of that, he's a space warrior. He's a spacefaring god. So like, who else does he know that can travel space? So I don't really feel like he wanted to be with the Guardians. Felt like he was there with that because who else is he going to be with? He doesn't want to be on Earth because of all the things that it remind, like the failure of Thanos and yada yada. So like, now I take it back. They were needed. You did need them, narratively speaking.
Yeah,
to be there. Yeah.
I just wanted some more. I just wanted
yeah,
more
same
of the Guardians. And I guess a question before we move on: do you all expect, starting with you, Mike? Do you expect Thor to be in Guardians 3? Appear somehow, some way, just to, because again, their mission, if we're going off of this film, they're out looking for what killed these other gods. Do we book in that in the special, in the Christmas special? Do we book in that in their film, or they're just going to be like, oh, we got another distress call. It's Gamora. Like, how do you think we see Thor?
They're probably not. Maybe they'll have like a line or two, but I don't think.
Thor took care of that, so we can go ahead and move on. Yeah,
I don't think we're going to see Thor.
What about you, Amanda? You think Thor is going to make an appearance in Guardians 3?
I don't think it'll be Thor, but given what happened at the end, it's like Zeus could also kind of make an appearance on the distress. Not that I want to get into like that stuff, but like that's a possibility just because like Gorr the God Butcher's not there. Like they were looking for the gods. I don't know if that's a possibility because of what happens, but I don't know if Thor will be in it.
Very curious on where they land, because we know Adam Warlock is going to be involved, so I wonder on their journey if that's kind of where they're. And again, I guess we'll find out when we see the Christmas special later this year and kind of see where that lands. I'm really excited for the Christmas special, by the way. I love Christmas specials. But speaking of something special, and before we get into this topic, by the way, guys, thank you all for watching this. Amanda and Mike's information's in the description. Definitely subscribe and follow them, and thumbs up, share, all that fun stuff. But we got a special appearance. We got a character who, for two films in particular, I'm talking about Natalie Portman. Now, her last outing with the MCU was so bad that they couldn't even bring her back for Endgame. They had to use found footage from another film because it just was a bad taste in her mouth from Aaron Taylor being the director, Patty Jenkins being off the film, and just kind of milling in the performance in Thor, The Dark World. But Amanda, back in 2019, we got an announcement that she will be back as Mighty Thor. Jane Foster is back. We check in with her, and immediately, again, we talked about tragedy. We opened the film with Gorr, and then we have some fun with Thor and see, as you all mentioned, he's losing another family of sorts, and now we have another character dealing with life-threatening life illness with cancer. Your thoughts on, number one, Jane Foster, Natalie Portman being brought back, but then seeing her fighting this battle of cancer?
I'm obsessed with her. I cried when she wielded Mjolnir at SDCC that day. Like, it was just such a big deal because they did her so dirty. And I'm happy that there was a story strong enough that would get her back into the franchise. And I think this was beautifully done. I was kind of worried about how Taika would handle the humor in regards to that subject matter. But I think that he did it tastefully, and you just got to see so much time pass, even with how Jane Foster, how she became, and the person that she became after everything that happened with Thor and all of that. But yeah, I think that she did an exceptional job. It was a grounded, emotional performance, but later on, like, she was still able to have fun. And I think that's also the important thing with her character and the growth of her character that we've seen, even in this movie alone, which is crazy. Like, it took 2 hours, and she even got development as well. So I loved her. Like, she stole the movie for me. I absolutely adored her in this.
She was fantastic. I mean, she got more to do in this film than she did combined Thor 1, Thor 2. And we even get the cameo, Darcy, coming in with they're back. I wonder, I don't know if it's been, were either one of them blipped? Has that been confirmed or verified?
I don't think they said. I think Darcy, Darcy wasn't blipped because she had to getting a doctor. She ended up becoming a doctor, but they didn't say about Jane. So I love seeing the two of them together as colleagues. Yeah, now they're both doctors. So.
Yeah. I mean, take it away, Mike. What did you think about, again, Natalie Portman returning to the role? And then, of course, again, for the comic book fans out there, they did adapt a particular comic book run that does involve Jane fighting cancer. And every time she, wields Mjolnir, it kills her. So
your thoughts on
your thoughts
Anthony?
on how your thoughts on this return of this character, and did you feel, because there has been some criticism for some people, to Amanda's point, I felt like it was handled well, and I think it was too. But some people think it wasn't taken too seriously as far as the tragedy she's going through in this film.
I disagree. I mean, look what happened to her in the end. But I loved seeing Natalie Portman return and like getting to bring some justice back to the character of Jane Foster and letting her be the badass that she deserves to be. Not even just the fact that she wielded the hammer, but just her whole character arc, period, and just the strength that she brought to the character. And then the relationship. This was the first time that I actually felt for the relationship between Jane and Thor. Before then, I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, the chemistry wasn't there.
Yeah, the chemistry wasn't there. But this is the first time that I actually felt it, and I was like, I was rooting for them. And I wish again it goes back to the runtime that we got a little bit more from her as being Thor. But I loved her taking on the mantle of the mighty Thor, even like getting her doing things with Mjolnir that even Thor was like, what the hell? Which is also a comic book thing. Like when Jane Foster wielded the hammer, she was able to do things that Thor was never able to do with the hammer, which showed that like the hammer liked her better.
I love
and so that, and even that whole dynamic and relationship. I love seeing her come back. And then not only just that, but like I loved, and this is something that you don't really get to see that much in like the other Avengers movies. And even when it came to like what Wanda and Black Widow, and something that I loved about this movie is like you got to see like Valkyrie and Thor interacting with each other as two women superheroes, and they supported each other. There wasn't any cattiness. They supported each other as two women superheroes that are powerful, and they were friends, and like you don't like I said, you didn't see that between Black Widow and Wanda. Like, have they ever really interacted? Not really.
2 seconds in Infinity War. Yeah,
and they talked outside of like there was the conversation outside of just being like men. It was just like just two women that happen to have power. Talk I love that. So shout out to Taika Waititi for that. So I just love their whole dynamic. And so again, I wish I got more, because I do kind of feel like by the end, Valkyrie and Thor was like, all right, come on now. I get a Thor's movie at the end of the day, but still.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Sorry, I could have actually just had a movie with just Natalie Portman and Tessa Thompson.
I was just about to say, like, it feels to me that is the biggest, I guess, criticism that we've consistently said so far. The runtime, the 2-hour runtime, there is another 20, 25, half hour of this film left somewhere to develop more, like we talked about Gorr, the relationship with, I love Valkyrie and Jane's interactions, needed more of that. I'm so curious on why they decided to cut this film so short as far as just giving us more of these characters that we love. But getting back into, we got another character. I don't have a picture of her because as we're recording this, they don't have all the stills out there. But as Thor and Korg are going off on their mission, we get another return from Sif, Jamie Alexander, who we haven't seen since, I guess, Loki, but that wasn't really her in our timeline. That was just a flashback, whatnot. But we're now set off on this mission. Thor has to get he finds out that there's Gorr the God Butcher's involved. He goes to, which I thought was just so, I want to go there, Amanda. I'm like give me.
I was like, they need to open up a new Asgard, like
now.
Right?
They need to open up
a
Wakanda in Disney and a new Asgard. I will be there immediately.
Sign me the hell up. But look, I think this is the most. I don't want to fast forward or run over this. This is probably the biggest cameo in the film. Daryl is back. I don't know if you all noticed that Daryl was actually working at New Asgard. Yes, he was the one that was talking. He was showing everyone near the remnants of the hammer. He had his headset.
Yeah, I didn't notice that was him.
There you go. Breaking news, guys. Daryl, this is going to break the internet. Daryl was back. I've been waiting for him since what was it called? The one shot.
The one shots.
Yeah, they didn't bring back.
How come Thor didn't say anything? That's his roommate.
Yeah, I mean, he got him a job. I guess he got him a job at New Asgard as the attraction person, and we got I love the whole play aspect. They're bringing in Melissa McCartney. Amanda, Mike, I don't know what's her husband name? Dave or Frank or Mike Falcone or whatever his name is.
Ben.
When they married each other, did they vow that he has to be in every single project that she's in? Because he's in the film. I don't know if you all know. He's like a little split second. He walks on stage and. Anyway, Amanda, your thoughts on Daryl's return, New Asgard, King Valkyrie, and how all this kind of shaped up in this part of the film.
I wanted more King Valkyrie. I think Tessa
Yes.
Thompson was also underused. She ate,
Agreed.
like, she was fantastic in it. And like Mike said, I absolutely love those moments with Valkyrie
Her swagger's
and
on 10.
Jane.
She's just
Oh
so
my God. She was
beautiful.
fighting in her pajamas. I'm like, girl, you're freaking killing it. It was like a Phantom of the Opera. Look at this. Like, taste. My God. Like, she was just flowing, just gorgeous. I loved her in this. But yeah, I like New Asgard. I thought that, the second I saw Matt Damon, I'm like, oh, like, we're doing this again. I was like, great. But seeing, I was like, okay, whatever. And then seeing Melissa McCarthy was just so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so great. But it wasn't like overdone. Like, I felt like when they did it in Ragnarok, I'm like, really? Like, this is what we're doing? I just don't like Ragnarok. That's besides the point. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I think
blasphemy.
I'm sorry, but I think the humor was just more balanced and it wasn't like dumbed down in this film. And I think that's why I really appreciate it. And I think that they didn't undercut the emotional moments. A lot of people are saying that. And I'm like, I cried during this movie, like it was like those emotional moments, those beats they did.
I
hit.
can definitely see that. Like the emotional moments definitely stuck in this show, unlike with Ragnarok. Oh, our planet's destroyed. Let's throw in a joke.
Yeah, like there was like so many, and no one need to see Hulks, but no one. Anyways, I'm getting off on the Ragnarok hate, whatever. Anyways, but yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought they did a great job, and New Asgard's like really beautiful, and like I want Valkyrie spinoff like today. Valkyrie spinoff now.
Let's make it happen, Kevin Feige. Let's make it. Mike, man, same for you. New Asgard, Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie, King running Asgard, and of course, like I said, any thoughts on the return of Daryl? And if you want, a Valkyrie Daryl spinoff series.
I was gonna say I didn't even notice Daryl.
When I saw him, like, yo, that's Daryl.
I'm seeing it again tomorrow, so I'm like specifically like where like look for it. So, but yeah, like I do want a Valkyrie spinoff, and that's something like I kind of wish we got to see again. Runtime, like got to see more of, like see her become king and dealing with all. Because I remember what was it, Spider-Man: No Way Home, where they had a like New Asgard like thing at the UN thing on like the crawl at the bottom of the news thing. So I would like to have seen her do more of the day to day, because she even mentioned like, I'm tired of doing this day to day like stuff. I want to be a warrior. I'm a Valkyrie. I'm a warrior. Like, so I wish we got to see a little bit more of that, and that, a part of that has to do with the runtime. And then like I love Tessa Thompson as the character of Valkyrie, and even though she was in pretty much the whole movie, I still feel like she didn't really have much.
She was just there, just kind of there.
Like Jane had stuff to do. Valkyrie Thor has stuff to do. Valkyrie was just like a tag along. And also you mentioned earlier when me talking about, I love how you had these women coming together and being friends and things like that. Well, on the flip side of that though, then you talk about Lady Sif. Why was she in the movie? Like what? What was the point of bringing Jamie Alexander back? And then not only just that, but like you had her missing the arm. The joke about it, which I'm like, all right, that was cute, maybe, but at the same time, it's like, you brought her in this movie for, and then they don't even talk about where were you this whole time? Like,
when the Avengers came in Endgame, where was?
Did you know Asgard is gone? Like, did you know Odin's dead? Like, there was none of that. So it was like, what was the point of bringing her in this movie if you're not going to really resolve her character? Just to have that moment at the end where she's training Heimdall's son. Like, I don't know if Jamie Alexander was just like, I'll come back to the movie. I don't care what you do for me or whatever. I'll come, but like.
She came out and said the other day she would love to do more. I think she even
at least give the character something like
she's so good.
She's been missing for so long. Like after seeing, I was just like, she would have been better off not even being in the movie, and I wouldn't have cared.
I agree.
Yes, her influence in the film had nothing impact at all in the narrative besides there's another Thor character.
Yeah, here she is.
The Thor in the mix. Yeah, she's still alive. But we go we get all that set up there. And we transition to, I guess, our first big action set piece, which is the night terror. Which, by the way, those kids sleep hard. Like y'all didn't hear any explosions, and those kids were knocked out that whole fight. And
my neighbors next door could be blasting music. If I'm ready to go to sleep, I'm out. Like,
Mike, I'm a light sleeper. You got demons outside. People getting slayed.
They're not in my apartment though. They outside. So like,
I couldn't be bothered. I guess I would have been up. But so the whole thing is Gorr comes with, which by the way, the shadow monsters were really, really cool. And again, I know Gorr and there's some Venom connections, and I don't know if they'll ever tie those together. Whatnot.
I was kind of wondering about, because I'm like, technically, since it's connected to Venom,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that means Sony owns Null and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
the Necro Sword and yeah, I'm very. It's like
Very
all that
because they
stuff.
kind of mentioned the god that created the Necro Sword, but not really. Because I'm like,
Not really. Yeah.
I feel like that would be a Sony thing.
Tie-in.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
I want Sony to.
Because I would love,
Craven the
love for,
non-hunter.
yeah, because I'm like, I would love for them to introduce Null in the MCU, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah,
I'm
but
manifesting.
fingers crossed. But again, take it away from Sony because again, Craven non-hunter and
Oh yeah,
whatever
that
Sony
is
right
trash.
now is
He's a vegan and he's a
Yeah.
protect. His name is Craven the Hunter.
I saw some.
What is he hunting?
Some plot stuff that got out the other day, and I'm like, this movie sounds, and obviously it could be fake, but it sounds very ridiculous from what I saw. But
I'm like, he's literally wearing animal skin. Like, what is he hunting? Like, I'm confused.
I have faith.
We'll
PETA's
see
gonna get mad.
we'll see what Aaron Taylor, aka Quicksilver, brings us next year. But Amanda, your thoughts on this action set piece of them fighting, and then obviously the big moment that we've seen in the trailer a bunch of times. Thor can see Mjolnir, but obviously it has a new owner. It has a new person that it's sworn to protect, and that is Jane. How do you think that this action piece was handled and the community? I will say one thing, and as you all see on the screen now, some of the visual effects, which maybe by the second time,
that right there, you can see the green.
Yeah.
See the green screen or Thor with that helmet. That I hated that. I hated that helmet. That
There's
looks terrible.
multiple shots in this film that I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know if they finished this completely. But Amanda,
Yeah.
your thoughts on this sequence and kind of getting the reunion between Jane and Thor?
The main like negative that I have was the special effects. I thought it was really just wonky the entire movie. It's not like it starts out strong and gets worse like the normal MCU movies do. It's like it just starts off bad. So that's what I can't really like take myself out of it when I see it. But I thought this was really strong. I think Taika really leaned into the horror elements with Gorr the God Butcher. I really love that he was coming out of the shadows, and the shadows went like through. You could see them visually. I thought that was really strong.
Mhm.
And something that I love about a villain is that you can't see him, but you can feel him, you can sense him. And I think that they did that in this sequence alone. And I felt like, holy crap, he's coming to get me, type of thing. Those poor kids, like I felt that. Yeah, exactly. And even if he didn't have that much screen time, he was still felt, like the presence was felt. So I thought that was really strong. I love the meeting of Jane and Thor. I thought it was just so cute.
Scooby-Doo.
Very rom-com, very like campy. I really liked that. And she looked like a badass. Like I look at her. She's still like her age, and she's just so gorgeous and like I absolutely I was in love with her. Literally just watching the entire movie. I'm like, I love you so much. Thanks for being in this. It was cute. The house falling down and like
that was my favorite part. That was
right.
I loved it.
Like it's perfect. It was like rom-com. That's the first thing that I thought of, and that awkwardness. You know, we all kind of sense it, and it's it's a lot of fun. We've all felt that kind of stuff, so it was good to see it on screen between gods, basically. So, yeah. So it's
like
good.
Mike, your thoughts, man. Like I said, the only thing, and Amanda, like you said, the CGI, it didn't take me out, but I'm like, goodness gracious, can you guys like maybe not show that? Like I this shot here is, and we didn't even see him in the suit again the rest of the film. But Mike, your thoughts on this sequence and the reunion, Jane?
Yeah, for the most part, every action sequence in this movie I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
and that includes this one. Like I loved, getting to see all these characters cut loose, and just the chemistry. Like I thought, like I said, Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth had the best chemistry in this movie than they've had in every other Thor movie, and that started with this scene and this moment. Like the moment, like I mentioned, when the house fell down and it was on fire, I was like, that was like my favorite moment of this scene. And then just seeing Thor be all jealous, and then I was like, what is he more jealous of? That fact that Jane is, or concerned about the fact that Jane is around, or that she's willing to be on there? So like that whole banter between the two of them, with Thor trying to like grab me on there. Hey, it's me. I'm back, buddy. Like I loved all of that. And then Valkyrie's just like, could you keep your head in the game? Like,
yeah.
And her fight, like you mentioned, her fighting in her pajamas and like being badass and taking everybody out. And then Gorr being menacing. And really, he almost killed Thor in this opening sequence.
he made it seem pretty light work as far as kind of the whole mission. We find out he needs Stormbreaker to summon the Bifrost. But yeah, Gorr was definitely got round 1 and got round 2 that we'll talk about here in a second. But yes, Mike, you alluded to it. I think Taika's the only one that I can think of that would literally have a plot in his film in which the weapons have a love story or have a triangle, love triangle. I thought that stuff was great and so funny. But we go from there. We really kind of get into the mission now. So the mission at hand, we got to take down Gorr. He has the kids. We got to find them and take them down. And that's where we kind of transition into getting our kind of second half of the film. We got to get a team. We got to get more gods. We got to get our team together. And actually, before we get to that plot, Amanda and Mike, your thoughts on, and I love that they went back to showing us their breakup. And you guys mentioned rom-com. This was like such a rom-com, and I love their whole, what was Thor and James' relationship when he was dealing with Ultron, him going off doing his thing, her doing her thing, and they ultimately kind of broke up. I thought that stuff was like absolutely great.
I love that. Yeah.
It was great.
Go ahead and take it away, Amanda.
Oh, I love that stuff. I'm a sucker for a good rom-com, and I think like the montage really worked because we didn't know what the hell was happening with them, and to see that to like an ABBA song, I was sitting there like, yes, this is like perfect song choice.
Yeah.
It works so well. But they fast tracked it, and again, like 2-hour runtime, we got to see the things that we could connect with. And I think that's the most important thing with this runtime. Of course, we could have had like another half an hour, like as we've said, we can get a little bit more, but I think they fast tracked the right stuff for us to actually get a cohesive narrative and actually feel for these characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cute. It was placed there. You could
feel
at
a Halloween party and them just shopping. It's just like, this is awesome.
It's so cute.
And I actually found out when somebody realized that I went to the premiere, they hit me up because they were in the Thor movie and they were asking if a certain scene was still in the movie. Because there was a moment with Thor's in the hot dog costume.
Halloween party,
and kind of like what happened with Age of Ultron, people trying to lift the hammer. And he was supposed to be in that scene. And so he was wondering if that was going to be in it or whatever. So because I was like, no spoil. He was like, I know you can't get spoilers, but at least tell me if that scene made it into the movie.
It didn't, like, right? I don't remember.
No, it didn't make it into the movie because he was like, I want to take my mother and show her. I was like, that's dark. So it goes back to the thing. I was like, I wish it was a little bit longer. So that guy, he didn't get his cameo.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah,
did they reveal to you what this like? Ultimately, they didn't pick up the hammer. Did they tell you what the rest of the scene?
No, he didn't tell. He just said it was a bunch of people trying to lift the hammer. He was wondering, it was like a party scene, and he was wondering if that made it into the movie.
Damn it, Taika, editors. I love that, seeing that. But yeah, again, that moment, and again, ultimately, and I love their back and forth. Well, you weren't there, but the reason you didn't, I wasn't there. I love that back and forth. But they now have to get another team together, and this is where I'm not gonna lie, I was on the verge of being almost dropping this like a whole number grade because when they meet Zeus, number one, I'm not gonna lie. I love Russell Crowe. Again, Taika Waititi, I don't know what he's doing to get these Academy Award-winning actors, Cate Blanchett, like you all mentioned, now Russell, and obviously Christian Bale. Whatever he's doing, I keep doing it because he gets incredible actors. But I didn't like the accent. I didn't like the goofiness. I didn't like how the whole orgy thing. Sure, it was funny. The flicking of Thor's clothes is, is definitely funny, but funny, and this is a good word to describe it. But I want this to be like, these are the gods. I mean, I thought we were going to get maybe Kanju and other gods. We got Bass from Black Panther. I think Shang-Chi's dragon god was there. I mean, I have to go back and look at all the little Easter eggs, but I was just like, man, this, and then they killed him. They brought him back. He wasn't dead. And I like the second version of Zeus when he's like, I'm going to show these humans, you need to pray to us. Like, we're not a joke. So I guess it kind of makes up for it. But at first I'm like, dude, this is when people complain about the goofiness. I thought that scene was a little bit too goofy for me. But Amanda, what did you think about the meeting of the gods and how they handled that?
I think that Taika just twisted it and flipped it on its head because we have a preconceived
subverting
idea
expectations and all that. Yeah.
So then you have a high-pitched voice for Zeus. He looks the way his freaking curls. I was dying. Yeah. And when he grabbed his skirt and he sprinted down the stairs.
It's funny. Yes, it's funny. It's funny. I get
I
it.
think I was just like in the mode. I don't know what it
Yeah.
was. Like I thought that like Ragnarok was dumbed down. Like that was dumbed
Yeah.
down. So like a little I understand completely like that little goofy scene there was like, why would you do it? But I think he just subverted the expectations as you said. And
Yeah.
like we're gonna get a different Zeus afterwards, considering
Oh,
what
yeah, he's
happens in the
pissed.
post-credit scene.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. That was fun. God bless Russell Crowe. There's a
What
reason
was
why he's an
the,
Oscar winner, my friends. Like
the dumpling god or whatever that one little.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a nod to like the Bow short film.
Okay. Oh yeah. I didn't think
Yeah, it
about
was
that. Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Mike, man, how did you feel about it, man? Again, we got that. I'm thinking, and this is where my mind's going. Wait, if Gorr comes in here and kills some gods, he kills the Black Panther guy, which might explain why T'Challa's not in Black Panther. My mind was, but it was just, and the gods are just sitting there watching Zeus be. Mike, take it away, man. I might be the only one that didn't like this scene.
Gonna
Man.
pop
I thought
the
it
blood
was
Yeah, no,
really
I didn't
cheesy.
have a problem. I didn't have a problem with this scene, mostly because from a narrative perspective, it would make sense. Because why is Gorr the God Butcher so active against killing gods? We see it right here. They're
goofy,
you got
they're
all these,
orgies.
and Thor even says, like, with all of us, he
Yeah.
cannot stand a chance.
Yeah.
But yet they're more concerned about wanting to have orgies and just getting worship. They're not. And then also, like, it would make sense because if these gods always existed and they've always been here. Like it's the same Eternals problem. Where were they at?
Where were they? Yeah.
During all of these conflicts?
Yeah.
They don't care. They don't care.
Yeah.
And we even see that kind of like during like Moon Knight. They don't give a flying flip. And so like it makes sense that they're all about their hedonism and like all about the pleasure of like. So like I didn't have a problem with that. The thing I was like, well, come on, not boss though. Like not the Panther. I thought at least like if they had the Panther goddess raise their hand, like I'll help you, and as maybe somebody said no or whatever, something like give her a line or something. Especially since we didn't even see her in the ancestral plane, like. But yeah, I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was funny. I like seeing Zeus, but it also kind of made me wonder, like, how powerful is Zeus compared to like Odin? Or whatever, like if he's like the head of the pantheon of gods,
they look up to him. He's leading them. Yeah, it's you guys are. I'm still a little. I still wanted more. Like you mentioned, Mike, the Moon Knight scene. To me, the whole judge and jury type situation. I wanted it to be.
So yeah, I wish there was more connection. I wish there was more connection with that, especially since the first time we've seen the introduction of these gods, Egyptian gods, etc., was in Moon Knight. So like, where was freaking why do I want to say Young Justice is in my mind because I was just watching it, the Clarion, who's the chaos god, but that's not him. Who the fuck is Moon Knight? Khonshu. There we go.
Yeah. And,
at least like Khonshu be there or something like that. Like I wish there was more connection with that or the hippo god or whatever.
And so, maybe again, when I'm gonna watch this probably a bunch more time, maybe freeze frame. Oh, there's this and the other, but yeah, I just want to know. But you guys make a good point, especially Amanda and Mike, you alluding to the whole not taking them seriously and averting expectations, and you would think godly level and just like Thor, what are you doing? But it's like Thor, and then of course
even when you think about Odin, like he's supposed to be the god of the 9 realms, but what did he really do? And then you find out that he wasn't even like he was a conqueror. Like he took Asgard, he took the 9 realms, yada yada. So like from narratively speaking, it makes sense.
So I mean, and I'll bring up the shot again. I know we got some Chris Hemsworth fans out there.
Favorite part of the whole movie. Like,
but why is it blurred, Elliot? Come on, no, I'm joking.
I couldn't find the R-rated version of it. Which Taika 2 films in a row. We got ass shots. We got whole.
I didn't need to see anything else in the movie after that. I was done. I was like, I'm good.
Then, hold on, the Loki tattoo, which I guess that brings up a perfect point. Were you guys at all maybe slightly, I don't want to say disappointed, but were you expecting low-key to have post-credit scene, or were
maybe a post-credit scene?
I was surprised because again, this is history in the making. This is the first Thor film without, the fourth Thor film, which is new, but also the first Thor film without Loki. Were you, Mike? Were you disappointed a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping for maybe like a post, and I guess technically, if you count the tattoo, Loki's still there.
There. Yeah, they bring him up.
But knowing that he's lurking in the multiverse, like maybe show like a video of him like looking in on the Thor or whatever. I don't know. But I guess technically this version of Thor isn't his brother. Right. The Loki that we saw is from Avengers. So
yeah.
What about you, man? Did you miss the God of Mischief not being in this one at all?
I guess honestly, because he died so many times and like there was a finality in Infinity War, I wouldn't want him to pop up because he's still grieving and like he was like finally opening up again in this one. So like I would
It
love
wouldn't
to
even
see
make
him,
sense to like
right? Yeah, I would
know.
love to see him, but I have like a peeve that we'll talk about after with
Okay.
phase 4 and how everything's adding up, and it's really annoying me because I just need answers and we're not getting answers, but that's besides the point.
Need answers. But after and again, we see Valkyrie, she just wanted to fight. She's like, can we fight now? And I'm, so they get in there, they take out the guards or whatnot, and then they leave on a pretty, again, little tie-in Celestials in the background, which, again, I guess maybe opens the door with, what the Eternals are up to. But getting into, Gorr, his mission, how did you all feel about that? Did you guys like that scene with the kids, the kind of the story that he was telling, that performance? Did you guys like that moment, Amanda, with Gorr intimidating, scaring the kids and taking off that little head of that creature?
First, I just want to talk about the goats because the goats were
I didn't even bring them up.
hilarious.
Did you find? You guys found the? I found them
I
to be
was
so annoying.
dying. Every time I heard them scream, I was like, oh my God, they're here. Like I was dying. Like I don't know what it was. Maybe I was happy that day. I'm like, sure, let me roll with it. I have no idea.
Yeah,
But the
those
goats were
goats.
fun. I like those goats. They were cool.
Yeah.
I thought that again, like that is a perfect example of Taika leaning into the horror elements, more darker tones there. And Bale was scary, man. Like he was scary. So I love that scene with the kids. And I think that involving the children foreshadows what Thor eventually, becomes at the end of this. So I thought that was really cute that we got a lot of like Thor children. Like I really love those interactions. And like my heart, when it was like Heimdall's son, like I got so emotional with that just because like I loved Idris Elba as Heimdall, and I think that he deserves so much more screen time, and he's very underappreciated in this franchise.
100%.
But knowing that his kid's there and he's learning and like Thor's teaching him, like oh my God, my heart melted. So I love those scenes with the kids.
Your thoughts, Mike, on the kid? And to Amanda's point, I didn't even know he had. I know he had a.
Yeah, that's how I was just about to say. Where does kid come from? Like,
I know, right?
We need to be Maury on the set.
I was like, when he had time to have a kid, like, but they didn't show like when he was protecting all the people. When he was protecting all the people on Ragnarok, there was no moment we saw him like looking for his family specifically. It was like, no, I'm protecting all of Asgard, and that kid's. So I'm like, and then I'm thinking about, I guess he's Asgardian, so like maybe they age slower, but I'm still just like. He's already dead. So when did he have time to have a kid? Like, I don't know. So, but at the same time, I still like that when he was like, oh, that's Heimdall's son and he has Heimdall's power. And I was like, oh, I like seeing that moment and seeing him like taking his father's place of kind of like being the leader of these new Asgardian kids.
Yep.
Even though it's funny, like one of the guys, I'm not Asgardian. But I loved all, especially the kid at the end with the bear. Like that was her Mjolnir. I love it. And first of all, I was like, I don't know whose kid this is, but I'm like, that's somebody's kid on set because they're focusing on. Well,
I think all the actors had all their like. I think I read an article. Christian Bale's daughter was in it, which I don't know if his daughter was Infinity daughter, the little girl. Thor had his kids in it, and then Natalie Portman had her kids. So
I was like, but the kid with the bear specifically, I was like, they're focusing on her a lot. So I'm like, I don't know I don't know if that's maybe Taika's kid or whatever, but I'm like, that's somebody's kid that she's getting all this screen time. So but I loved her with that bear.
The bear scene was hilarious,
so
man.
good.
But before we get to the hilarity, this scene here, we talked about this was my favorite action scene when they go to the Shadow Realm and and Gorr sets them up.
Oh yeah, the desaturation, like it was beautiful.
Man, it was. It's one of. It's not. I don't want to speak blasphemy and hyperbole. It's one of my favorite action scenes of Phase 4, at least I can say that. Amanda, your thoughts on this black and white battle, kind of stop motion, Kubo, 2 strings, Beetlejuice type of creatures.
Yeah,
I thought it was fantastic.
It was great. I mean, it's something different. We haven't gotten something like this. Taika really played around with the camera and what he could do with the lighting, especially that the cinematography was solid in this. Again, special effects not the greatest, but I thought it was really strong. And the fact that they actually like utilize the space and scale of the planet and fighting on the planet, like diagonally, so cool. Like around. I thought that was really sick. Again, here you can see the power of like Stormbreaker and Millennium. Like it was just really cool how they utilized it. And then the colors, I think the colors are just like that's what made an impact in this film. Like, it's just so vibrant, and it's not like the same color grading as we've seen in previous Marvel films, where a lot of them are dull, and like this had like popping colors. So I love that contrast. I love that it was like going into darkness type of thing, you know? So this is basically the dark world instead of
Dark elves.
Better dark world than the dark
Right?
world.
Gosh, those dark elves
Literally.
were trash. Them and the Flag Smashers, they
Yeah.
the worst, the absolute worst.
do
Mike,
it.
your thoughts on this battle, man? Again, a man that touched on a lot of the points. The aesthetics was beautiful, but the actual implications of this mission now, it's so many. It's a film within a film, and many different surprises. And we'll talk about the biggest one, but the whole idea of him wanting Stormbreaker to open the Bifrost to get to this big part that we're going to talk about here, as far as this cosmic entity. But your thoughts on this fight that we got?
Yeah, like I mentioned, this fight scene was my favorite scene of the movie. Like, it was beautiful. Like, and one of my I think it was you, Elliot, that said it's my favorite fight scene in Phase 4 of the MC. Like, the way it was shot, the tricks that they did with the camera, and then when they added the interspersed moments of color and the music, like, it was almost like there was music going around with it, but it was also, you felt the silence of it at the same time. And then even the moments where Gorr was like talking to Jane Foster and saying how we're similar, and like the whole thing, I just love. I loved all of it, and I was still kind of mad that, even though, despite that, not from a movie standpoint, but I was like, why did you call Stormbreaker back? Like, don't be stupid. Like, but I love this whole fight scene. I wish both Jane and Valkyrie didn't get sidelined by the end of it, but like, I was like, come on.
Yeah, to your point, yeah, she gets stabbed in the back. They have Zeus's lightning bolt, and it plays out to his plan. But Mike, man, I want your first take on this. I know, again, big comic reader. Eternity, man. I
was surprised.
Anticipate this, expect this. This is deep in the back. This is huge for the Marvel.
Yeah, it's like a huge, it's like a deep cut,
man. I mean, Mike, take it away, man. Again, so for people at home, Mike's gonna let you all know his thoughts about it. But we have seen glimpses of this character with the Guardians films. But Mike, man, I was shocked. Take it away, man. Your thoughts on this character?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Eternity is like one of the fundamental forces of the universe. It's Eternity and then the sibling Infinity. And like, Eternity is like higher than like the Celestials and higher than Galactus in terms of like the Marvel cosmology. Like, it's like the one above all, the living tribunal, and then like Eternity and Infinity is like right under that. So like, the fact that they introduced Eternity, I was like, wait, what? That's not, it can't be the same. Oh, wait, it's the same. Still, it is Eternity. Oh, shit. So yeah, I wasn't expecting them to go that grandiose with it. And I loved it. I wish they kind of like had Eternity do something.
Yeah.
As opposed to just have the silhouette be there. But like, as a comic book nerd, I was here for it. I was like, it's not something they're not going to introduce Eternity in the MCU. Like, absolutely not. So now that tells me we're definitely going to get, they did Eternity. We're definitely going to get Galactus.
Right
we're
around
going
the
to
corner.
We're going to get the Phoenix Force, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully the Phoenix Saga, probably not way down the line. Maybe they'll just skip the Phoenix Saga and get the Phoenix Force.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I loved it. And I'm curious of what they're going to do with it, knowing that what we got with Thunder or Love, whatever her name is.
We'll talk about that, because a child born of that is OP to the next level. But
yeah, like there's no threat. Like, what do you
in game? I mean, this is the secret weapon. This is the nuclear bomb right now. Amanda, your thoughts on, again, this is a really, like Mike alluded to, this is a really big deal, because as we talked to, this definitely opens the door to Eternals, Celestials, and even to the umpteenth degree. Your thoughts on kind of really the mission at hand in this film being introduced here?
You know what? I didn't even know how big this character was until Mike said it. And now I'm sitting here like, we have that introduced. We have timeline business with Loki that we have to fix. We got whatever the hell happened in Spider-Man. We got Kang coming. Like, it's just, what is happening? Like, literally, what? And then we have like the Eternals playing and everything that's happening there. And then Shang-Chi with like, I'm like, listen, guys, we're like, I cannot deal with these like 4 cracked timelines that I have no idea what's going on, and you're still introducing on top of that.
This is a buffet
Like,
that's running all at us.
which is great, and I love that, but it's the fact that, like, this Thor is a contained story. I really loved this so much
Very
because
personal
there's
story.
it's very personal, like you
Yeah.
said. There's no excess. It doesn't have to really connect that much like a multiversal story, and I think that I prefer this than a multiversal story, especially because, like, I didn't really vibe with Multiverse of Madness. I think that they tried to do way too much with it just because they could, in that case. But I feel like they're not addressing what they've already set up. And there's so much set up to other things that even at the end of Multiverse of Madness with his third eye, we're not going to see that in until 5 years from now. Right. So I think my thing is that that's great that this was introduced. I think it's a wild concept where there's so much that they can do with it, but they can't keep setting all this stuff up and then not explaining how any of this connects and like what causes other things to happen. So that's, sorry that I went off on a little rant.
It's a concern it's a concern that you and other people, and we'll dive into it as we wrap up the video as far as phase 4 and kind of the lack of direction. And phase 5 is going to be the biggest phase of all time, leading up to X-Men and Fantastic Four.
I think part of it is I don't even necessarily think the MCU phase 4 has a lack of direction. I think because right now we're in the building phase, and
starting from scratch essentially.
Not only are they starting from scratch from their universe, they're also starting from scratch a lot of with their actors as well. So in a sense, like, they're building and introducing a lot of these concepts, because not only do they have to worry about the movies, unlike the other MCU product, now they're doing movies, they're doing television shows, they're doing animated things, cartoons, which I don't know, maybe that'll connect to the MCU at some point. So like,
I hope not, because that's nothing.
Yeah, but like,
well, I mean, what if is a
but they're introducing all these concepts so that maybe they could take Eternity and throw it into like a Doctor Doom Disney Plus movie or whatever. So it's like, I don't necessarily think it's a lack of direction. I think we just don't see it yet, because we're only getting what we're getting. But Kevin Feige, who's like he even said, like, I know what the direction is, because you're the one that's crafting it. So we might see it as a lack of direction because we don't know what the direction is. But he even said, like, it'll all be clear soon, which is probably in like Hall H. So more than likely, because I mean, and in many ways, I kind of feel like it's obvious that they're leading to Secret Wars.
This seems like the big obvious,
Like
and watch them be like,
they mentioned the incursions. What's the Secret Wars? Like,
they're
bringing all these characters together. They're having Eternity introduced. Like, I feel like it's just leading to Secret Wars, and then eventually, like, and it makes sense with all the multiple different timelines. We could pull a Spider-Man from here, a Doctor Strange, an Iron Man from here. It might not be Tony Stark, but it's still an Iron Man. So we can have your big giant Secret Wars event.
More of that to be said in a bit. And again, guys, thank you all for watching this. We're an hour or something. We're going to wrap up the film and then get more into this discussion. But again, thumbs up, share. Amanda and Mike's information is in the description. But this is where the film gets real. Thor at this point hears about the cancer, but doesn't know the severity of it. As we see, they're back on New Asgard after getting their asses handed to them. She's in the hospital. Thor finds out the news, and perfect Thor responds. He destroys the vending machine, puts in a joke, but he's using that joke because he really is hiding his pain because he knows what's going down. Amanda, your thoughts on him telling her, no, you're going to stay here. I need you. I need you to fight. And, ultimately we see her go on and fight at her last fighting, well, at least for now. But your thoughts on this kind of more slow down, heartfelt moment, and did it work for you as far as that beat?
Oh, 100%. I got emotional watching that. You get to see Hemsworth really puts like a different layer to Thor that we haven't seen. I think Portman just brings out the best in him, another side of him. And I think that it works so well in that case. But that scene alone, I think it's a favorite of mine just because of what happens afterwards and how much of an impact that scene has, because they're so connected to each other. Even if they haven't seen each other in X amount of years, they're still so connected. And even at like her having the power of Thor and being connected to him on another level, I think is something special, and then that adds to their connection. So and their relationship. So I really love that scene. I thought that he wrote it extremely well, and their chemistry was top notch.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's Taika. He Hunt for the Wilder People, Jojo Rabbit, my personal favorite. He definitely knows how to have fun, how to joke around, and I think he's one of those people that, yeah, when shit hits the fan, he tries to find the more funny moments to try to, pull yourself out of those moments. And I thought that he executed that really well in that scene. Mike, man, your thoughts on Thor realizing that his mortal human is her days are numbered?
Yeah, I love this scene. Like, it's just another, like, especially dealing with Thor and like his PTSD and grief. This is another potential loss that he might face, and this is also like the love of his life.
Yeah.
The person that, like he mentioned, you taught me how to be Thor again. When I first came to Earth, I was unworthy. You made me worthy. You believed in me. Like, I can't lose you too. This is another thing that I can't like. And so I love this entire moment. And I feel like this moment between the two of them, not even just this scene in the hospital, but then her picking up the hammer and deciding to make that sacrifice, it really solidified the relationship and the impact that both Thor has on Jane and that Jane has on Thor. Because you also have to remember, Thor was the first superhero that Jane's ever seen. So her knowing what it means to be a superhero came from him. And Thor is always a fighter, no matter what the odds or what's at stake. He's always going to pick up that hammer. And that's basically what Jane showed. Like, I might be sick, but I know people need me. I know there are higher things at stake than my health. And she learned that from Thor. And so I just love that whole, I just love the whole sequence. And it did great. It did great for both of their characters. Like, it did a lot for both of their characters. And I'm like, I want Jane Foster to come back.
I think she'll be back, Mike.
Yeah, I was like,
how
in the comics, she came back as a Valkyrie. So,
from my limited knowledge of Norse mythology and God of War games I used to play back in the day.
She's not from a Natalie Portman's. She's like, nah, this is my send off.
Probably her.
Yeah, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
So,
and I wonder if they'll find a way to bring AJ.
So, from that standpoint, I thought it was a great send off. For Natalie Portman.
I agree. You guys said it perfectly. I really have nothing much to add from that. But we wrap into the third act. Thor, Gorr, round 3. But Thor has, and you all pointed out, going back to the Guardians, he's throughout the film, he's opening himself up again. And now he's the kids, we want to get out of here. No, we need to fight. And yet another again of example of Thor and having help and having this family of a source, these kids. And again, Mike, you touched on it earlier. I didn't know Thor. Damn, Thor, could you not have given these powers to the Avengers when you guys were fighting Ultron and fighting Thanos? So you can distribute your Thor power to other people? Pretty OP. But yes,
maybe it's he can only do it because now he has Storm. Because Stormbreaker is supposed to be more powerful than Mjolnir.
Yes, Mike. I'm just like this movie's blowing my mind right now because Thor, like you said earlier, is.
But like his powers were just like random. Like he just do something. I was like, what?
Yeah, he's becoming Odin more and more.
Where did this come from?
I have no idea. This is a cheat code. Square X, double X. So many moments. But the kids get into the mix. Ultimately, he opens up the Bifrost, but Jane comes in. Unfortunately, she wraps up the remains of the Necro Sword. They're obviously able to take down Gorr. They go into eternity, and he makes his, they have their last moment. Thor didn't, like, you know what, man? You won. I'm going to go ahead and spend these moments with my loved one, which kind of Gorr realized, maybe this path I'm on isn't the right one. And we all know, and I guess I don't want to say it's a cheap thing that Marvel keeps using about people being possessed and not really Wanda and the Dark Hole, Loki and his staff, and now Gorr being possessed. Like, his intentions were there, but it was also influenced by a darker entity. But either way, he calls upon his daughter to be back, and we now have Thor, the dad, Love and Thunder, which is a great way to end the film. But Amanda, again, a lot that we went over there, but just your thoughts on how they wrapped up the film to end with Thor having a family now, essentially, and being Uncle Thor, Papa Thor of this eternity girl that is powers to the umpteenth degree.
I really liked it. I didn't know that he could kind of like transfer his powers to those kids, and I was like, yes. And it was so cute because the lightning was like a family tree, and I thought that was a really cool visual added. It was really nice. The fight scene was okay. Again, special effects, I'm gonna keep saying it. Wasn't the greatest, but that final moment where they just spend time like Jane and Thor spend time with each
Yeah.
other, and they're really cute. And we don't know what her what's it called? Her catchphrase is. She whispers it. I thought that was really cute that she did that.
Eat my hammer.
Yeah, it was really nice. And then again, like when we sympathize with the villain, it just makes for a more powerful story. And that switch with the kid, I thought that was really smart. I actually thought it was gonna be life for a life. I didn't know like she would be born of like it's gonna be love type of thing.
Yeah,
But again,
that was
for
awesome.
me, they deal with romantic love majority of the film, but it can also be like family love or like platon. Like there's so many different ways to love someone, and I think they really explored that in this movie, and they hit the nail on the head, giving Thor someone to look after because there is a love there, different kind of love, but everyone can be open and love whoever they want in that way. And I think the messaging was clear there, and I thought it was really cute how they ended it. And there's so many possibilities after this too with that. So
Yeah, so many. And Mike, man, your thought, and I guess so. I'm assuming Gore died similar to Jane. After you lose the Necro Sword, he loses the God's abilities he had, that it drained his body, very similar to the cancer
Well, they
draining
said he was
Jane's
gonna.
body.
They said he was gonna die regardless of whether he gave up the sword. Anyway, it was like draining his life
It was
force.
okay, gotcha. And I guess it hints towards the paleness of his skin, and kind of his design is sucking away his life force. Definitely makes sense now. So, your thoughts, man, on how in the film, the kids being involved, the heartfelt moment, and then this child being born of love and pain and hate and all of that, and moving on in the MCU now.
From a narrative standpoint, I think it made sense. The whole movie was about having Thor find his purpose, find something
Mhm.
else to live for, find something else that would get him out of his
Something to
slump.
fight
And now,
for. Yeah.
yeah, now he kind of has that in a
Yeah.
child that he really doesn't have to worry about because the child is
no.
damn near probably way more powerful than
More
even he
powerful.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny, and I found it interesting that he ended up giving her Stormbreaker while he took me on there.
Took more in there. Yeah.
I was like, all
Oh
right.
God.
So that made sense for like Thor's ending, but going back to what I mentioned in the beginning, I didn't really care about this little girl, honestly, because I wish we would have gotten more from her from the beginning of the movie. So
Her
when
and
she
her dad.
crops back up,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like I would have felt more. It was like, oh, the girl's
Yeah.
back. It was just like,
I bet you next time we see her,
I
she's gonna
care,
age up. I
I
bet you
care
she's
more.
gonna.
I care
Yeah.
more back from the sense of like, is this little girl a portion of eternity? Did eternity become the little girl, or is it just a small amount of this little
Mm.
Some
girl's,
remnants.
or
Yeah.
a small amount of eternity's power in the little girl?
Right.
Like,
Mm.
what does that mean for the greater universe? That's more so what I care about with
Yeah.
regards to the kid.
Because
But the kid,
Eternity, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the comics, he inhabits a body at one point, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know, to your point, Michael, if the little girl is going to be having that inside of her.
yeah, he
Yeah.
inhabits Storm's body at one point, but
Storm,
that's
yeah,
mostly because he needed to be healed. Like
gotcha.
he was damaged on the verge of dying, and you needed an entity that was powerful enough to house eternity. And it
To
was like
house,
it's
yeah,
only going to be
to
Doctor
the vessel.
Strange or Storm. It's Doctor Strange. Well, I can't do it because I'm the one that has to do the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I was still
Interesting.
just like, what does this mean? What yada? But like, I was just like, all right, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. It'll be really interesting. Again, I'm assuming they're going to age her up next time we see her. Just if they do use her, nothing against a little girl, but I'm assuming they're going to probably want more from them. And not saying she
Yeah.
couldn't hold her own, but I think she's going to probably she can age at a rapid pace or
But
something.
I love that scene. What was it? Wait, he was trying to get her to eat something
Eat
or
the
do something. Yeah,
pancakes,
and she like zap.
Exactly.
It was so funny.
And then the hammer, her little drawing on there. It's cute. It's got Thor the dad. We'll see. We'll see where
Yeah.
that goes. But wrapping up just the film, and then we'll just finish off with some rankings and again some phase 4 feelings. But post-credit scenes. Again, if you all are watching this on the replay, we broke down the film and now we're talking post-credits. And I want to start with you, Amanda. Your
Mhm.
thoughts on this first post-credit scene. We talked off camera. And again, when we're filming this, it's unfortunately, I think it was leaked that who was going to be in the post-credit scene, which sucks for some people. But obviously, if you're watching this, you already know at this point. But me and you, I think we're geeking out because of who this individual is. But Amanda, your thoughts on the post-credit where Zeus, he is alive, and I'm like, thank God, because if they would have killed Zeus in that matter with Thor killing him with his own weapon, like Zeus is like nuked if they did that. That was like so
Yeah.
weak, but he's okay. He's healed. He's talking to his people that's taking care of him, and he's looking at someone. I'm like, that's Hercules, and he says, son, I need you to rain hell on these humans because they forgot who to praise. They forgot. They think we're a joke. Show them who we are. And we have Hercules making his official MCU debut. My Ted Lasso fans out there, we got Roy in the building, ready to lay some hammer. And I'm really excited for this. I know Henry Cavill's name was floated around maybe, but hey, I'm happy with this choice. Your thoughts on Hercules coming to the MCU?
I had the biggest smile on my face when I saw Brett. I absolutely love Ted Lasso, and he deserves this bigger role. I think he's gonna shine. I know that we only got one line from him, and we just saw one glimpse, but I'm just so happy that they went with an actor. I don't want to say lesser known, because if you watch Ted Lasso, you know who he is.
Yeah, he's so
and
great.
if you don't watch it, you don't know who he is. But he's just so fun, and I think that if he brings a little bit of Roy Kent to Hercules, it's going to be really freaking entertaining. So I'm really excited. And I think both post-credit scenes are the best in Phase 4. I'm just really happy that we got to kind of end off Thor, the movie like this, again, contained to its storyline. And I think for me, it's two of the best post-credit scenes.
I agree. And Mike, your thoughts and to the second post-credit scene that Amanda's referring to is we do see that Jane is in Valhalla, and she's greeted, and he says to her, Hemdo says, you can stay here if you want, kind of alluding, because again, to my limited knowledge of Valhalla, is reborn. It's a refresh. You come, it's a resetting of a sort. So she could come back to Earth if she decides to do so. But Mike, your thoughts, number one, on Hercules and what it means, and if that's Thor 5, if we're going to get that in the coming years, which it took 5 years to get this film. Are we going to wait 5 years to see Hercules versus Thor? And then, of course, your thoughts on Jane Foster. We said that they booked in her story, but is there room to bring her back if they choose?
But yeah, based on the ending of this movie, it's definitely unless they come out and say something, there's definitely no doubt in my mind that we're getting another Thor movie, especially with Chris Hemsworth saying he wants to surpass Hugh Jackman's record as being a superhero. So I definitely feel like we're getting another Thor. And I never watched Ted Lasso, so I don't know who the actor is. So I can't really speak from that perspective. The only thing I cared about, I was like, right here. Put the camera on me. I was like, I need to see the outfit, the iconic Hercules outfit, and that's exactly what we got. I saw his titties were all out, so they didn't focus on it long enough, so I couldn't really oogle too much. But I was like, yes, give me Hercules. And the only thing about that I'm a little confused about, because they're kind of teasing, I want you to rain fire on. I'm like, so they're gonna make him a villain, because Hercules is not a villain.
Kind of a trope that Marvel likes to use. They start off as villains and they become friends to fight a bigger bad. So what I'm assuming,
So hopefully they don't, because I don't want Hercules to be a villain, and hopefully they make him bisexual like he is in the comics. So let's get with that. And so.
And I think Thor mentions when they go to see all the guys, he's like, Hercules. So he mentions her. So I wonder if they've crossed paths before and they have this kind of a bromance or kind of this friend Thor. So we'll see what comes of that. This film for me, and I think Taika, I read it somewhere, Taika said this is the gayest MCU film to date. Korg and having a baby, and obviously so Valkyrie, and so
talking about his two dads, and even
relationship.
Touch rock.
I roll my eyes a little bit, but I was gonna, because even when they mentioned it, I heard people in the audience like, "Oh, or yeah," and I'm just like, it's just like whatever, I don't.
We know, Marvel and Disney. It's baby steps.
Because I'm tired of passing references. I want it to be actually
full out.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing.
Yeah. And then
even when Valkyrie kissed the hand of the one of the other gods. I was like, but she didn't have a girlfriend the whole movie. Come on now. I need more than that to be, excited about, just.
Am I making this up? Did she come out and say that she's gonna be is she gonna be in Captain Marvel too? Did I read that somewhere, or she slipped up or had I might be making this up. I just wanted, because to your point, I thought that they said relationship wise that's something that potentially could be explored. Her and Carol, potentially. I don't know if I'll look it up, but
I know there's fan art going around about it, but I don't know, because and in many ways I kind of feel like that'd be too much, because we're already getting Monica, we're already getting Miss Kamala. To have Valkyrie be in it too, I feel like that's too much.
I could have saw it somewhere, but yes. So we will be seeing more of, and yeah, there was an article about. Yeah, I'll pull it up on the screen a little bit later. But two post-credit scenes definitely gets me excited, especially for Hercules and the MCU. Yeah. But wrapping up the discussion here, starting with you, Mike, in regards to just overall thoughts of the film, what didn't work overall. We talked about the runtime, but if there's anything else that stood out to you, and of course, what were some standouts, and overall, just your thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder.
Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Like I mentioned, my biggest complaint is the runtime, and that I wish we got more backstory from Gorr's family and the level of loss that he went through, especially considering that was kind of the narrative of this movie, like Thor's loss, Jane Foster's loss of life, Valkyrie's loss of adventure, being, the king, and all of that. Like, I would like to have seen more of Gorr's loss. They kind of like glossed over that. So that's really my only real complaint about the movie. But other than that, I really love this movie. I would say it's my second favorite movie of Phase 4. No Way Home is my favorite of Phase 4. But this is my second favorite of Phase 4. Really solidified my love of Chris Hemsworth playing Thor, and I totally want to see him come back for a fifth, maybe a sixth, a seventh, and eighth, however long he comes back. I mean, Thor's immortal, so we can keep him going.
I need Thor and Deadpool to have a scene together. That's what I want to see.
Oh my god,
that would be so random. But I'll be here. I would totally be here for it.
Reynolds would love it.
But yeah, like my biggest standout is like Natalie Portman, as you know, especially considering like how much of a non-character she was in all the other movies, and like how she really got to shine in this movie, and maybe want to see her return. Like before I was just like, whatever, like I don't care. Like Natalie Portman, she could stay at, like, let's not focus on Earth anymore. But now I'm like, oh no, I want her back. And that's on the strength of both her performance in this movie, the writing and the directing for her character. So yeah, I really enjoyed Thor: Love and Thunder, and I would say it's my favorite MCU movie of the year.
So over Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, yeah.
Oh, interesting. And we'll before I have you guys, we wrap up, I want to get your Thor rankings, and we'll talk Phase 4 to wrap it up. But Amanda, same with you. Standouts, what ultimately didn't work, and just how you feel about this film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. It smiles better than Ragnarok. And I really loved the balance that Taika brought to this. I thought Natalie Portman was outstanding. Christian Bale was great. And then Chris Hemsworth, I think, really just perfected his version of Thor. And I love that. He has longevity, and he's a character that I didn't think would have longevity 10 years ago. So I really love this. The only gripe that I have is the special effects. It did take me out at times. And yeah, like you guys said, the runtime is another thing that, it could have gone on a bit longer. I can't believe it was like the first one that was just 2 hours. But I still like the fast pace. I think that some people were underused, but it's what it is now. They always do that. We can't really like have so much of certain characters, which sucks. That's why we have spinoffs. Kevin Feige, please, Valkyrie, for the love of God, do it. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I like this miles better than Multiverse of Madness. So.
And I hope this isn't a trend, because when Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness came out, I was like, oh, this is the shortest movie of Phase 4, and then Thor is like, this is even shorter. So now Black Panther's going to be an hour 20
and a half.
Oh my God.
But going back to and again, I don't want to get too much into it, because this might be a spoiler, I guess. But essentially, the article just shows that, how do I say this without really giving too much away, that there was hints that she could be involved based on costume design. I'll just say that. So there might be potentially Valkyrie appearing in Captain Marvel 2 come next year, which we'll see how that plays out. Because like you all mentioned, we got Monica, we got Amon as Ms. Marvel, and now Valkyrie be in the mix.
I'm here. I'm here for
I mean,
some,
hey, make that
some A-Force like action.
Yeah, DaCosta. I'm a fan of hers, even though I thought Candyman was a little bit underwhelming. I think she's still a great director.
Yeah, I
so I'm really
wasn't
looking
a
forward to see
big
what
fan of
she's doing there.
Candyman, but
Same.
Yeah, Candyman. Oof. But wrapping it up as far as just one little thing. So I think Amanda, you already alluded to it, but if you want to just give me just
you didn't say your final ranking or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's a really solid film. On my review, which all of our reviews are available for you all to watch on our outlets. But I gave it a 3.8 out of 5. It's and I'll just give you my ranking now. Thor Ragnarok still favorite for me. Then this film, then Thor 1, then Thor 2. A lot of fun, a lot of heart. My biggest issue, as you all alluded to, is the runtime. It's just more development with Gorr and what he's lost. Valkyrie, Jane relationship. I just wish we could have spent a little bit more time. And then again, even though you guys did, make me think about it a little bit differently, I still wanted more Guardians. And I also wish that scene with the other guys was just taken a little bit more seriously as far as just the ramifications of everything going on. But overall, a really good time. And I recommend you all, we recommend you all watch it. If you're watching this spoiler review for some point and haven't seen it.
I didn't say mine, but mine is Love and Thunder.
Number 1. Okay.
Ragnarok, Thor, Dark World.
What about you, Amanda?
Love and Thunder, the first Thor, Ragnarok, and then the Dark World. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I gotta put respect on Kenneth Branagh. He made Asgard so beautiful. Like, yeah.
Well, one little thing, we kind of hit it on it, but just to wrap up, your final thoughts on, again, Amanda, you touched on Phase 4 and Mike touched on it too, as far as just putting things in place. But if you guys were to just summarize how you're feeling about it, and I guess what do we want coming next as far as Phase 4? We have the list here. You all said, Mike, you said this is your favorite film in Phase 4. Is that the same for you? Well, I guess Spider-Man, and then Amanda, is Love and Thunder your second favorite, or is it somewhere else in the middle as far as rankings go?
I would put top 3. I really love Shang-Chi. I really was impressed with Shang-Chi. So it would be Spidey first, Love and Thunder, Shang-Chi, and then Love and Thunder to round it off. Those are my top 3 of Phase 4.
Gotcha.
It's been kind of a hit or a miss, especially with the shows me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that there are maybe 2 or 3 projects that have really shined in Phase 4. I'm not disappointed, but it's more of they're throwing everything at the wall and hoping it sticks, which they can do at this point because their universe is so extensive. But I'm not as hyped as I was for the first 3 phases. I think that we're just so set in a mode of we're gonna get X, Y, and Z this year. We're gonna get so many things, and then we have to watch them all in order to understand anything moving forward. And I think the word that I can use is just very overwhelming. There's so much, and there's more bad than good for me, but I'm still enjoying it. I don't want to say it's terrible, but it's a lot.
Mike, I know you touched on it earlier as far as how you feel about, this is ground zero. We got to build back up to where we were in Phase 3. But I guess to your top 3, I know you mentioned Spider-Man, and then this Thor number 2 for you? Or
Thor's number 2, and then Shang-Chi is my number 3.
I think I'll feel the same way, yeah.
Thing about Shang-Chi, though, it's not a Shang-Chi review, but the reason I'm I feel less good about it as time goes on is I wish it was still more of a, it's built as a kung fu movie. It wasn't really I want to see more, the hand to hand.
It should have been him and Wenwu going at it.
You're going not with the rings. I want or fighting a dragon at the end. It's I want a kung fu battle. It should have been him and his sister fighting. But anyway.
That's another character that died, another great villain that they killed off.
He was so good.
He was so good.
But as far as I don't necessarily think it's more bad than good. It's more okay.
Than mediocre.
Experimental,
I guess, is the biggest thing.
Even Moon Knight, I would say it's my least liked show of Phase 4 so far. But I don't think Moon Knight was terrible. I just think it was the worst one. But Marvel's worst is still whatever.
Right.
True.
You can still find stuff to enjoy. As much as I dislike Dark World, there's still some stuff I can find that are
relationship between Loki and Thor is in Dark World.
Yeah, big time.
So I do feel because like I feel like they are granted they might have their story of where they want to go, but I still feel like they're still trying to find their place of what, because this whole Disney Plus streaming stuff that they're doing, it's pretty new. So like I still feel like they're trying to like find their footing with that, because like they're still writing these shows as movies. Right. It's just they're splitting it up into 6 episodes, but that doesn't work, because then you'll have certain episodes where it's like only 6 episodes, but then you have certain episodes where it's like it's the low point, and it's like that's not how it. Each episode, each episode should be able to stand on their own, and then also still tell for the greater story, but it should still be a good episode in and of itself. And I feel like they're not really there yet, and I feel like maybe as we get to maybe phase 5 and they do other shows, maybe they'll learn how to make these shows a little bit better. And since that's the majority of what we gotten from Marvel is the shows more so than the movies. I think that's probably where the biggest lull, or like people are like, oh, we don't know where the MCU is going. It's because of really the shows. Because think about every single show that's come out. For the most part, every single one of them has disappointed me by the end. Not one of them made me go like, oh fuck, that was perfect. Not one. And so I think
to me there is one. Loki to me still hits on another level, especially with Jonathan's appearance. That show to me, and I love time travel and stuff, so it has a special spot in my heart.
Jonathan Majors made it great, but for Loki himself and for the story they were telling, it was like
didn't wrap up for him. I got you. And I definitely agree with you. I think if the criticism and also to Amanda's point, I think to Amanda's point, the movies and the shows have both been kind of mediocre and very experimental, which I respect. But I do. The more and more I think about Black Widow, I do not like that film. The best thing to come out of was Yelena, and that's about it. And then the rest of the film, Shang-Chi's great, but like you guys said, I definitely wanted some more hand-to-hand combat. I love Eternals. I will die on that hill. I love Eternals. Spider-Man is on another lead of its own. I'm a horror fan, so Doctor Strange work, and then we just talked about this one. So, but the shows, I think the biggest detriment right now is the shows are such setups, and they're setting these characters up for movie appearances that is, like Mike mentioned, you got to make a good TV show first before setting this character up to appear in a bigger film. That's been my biggest disappointment. And Mike, this is my first, because we didn't really talk about Moon Knight. I didn't know Moon Knight was your least favorite, because Hawkeye to me is my least favorite, but I didn't know Moon Knight was your least favorite. It's very interesting.
That makes me so sad, because I adored Moon Knight. I cry.
And they're also like, they're not as connected as I would like them, or like they pretended they would be. The Disney Plus shows and the movies, like, we'll see the characters show up, but like, this whole talk about Loki being the start of the multiverse, but then you got Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, but there's no connection. They don't address it. There's no mention of the TVA. There's not a TVA. If not a character from the Loki show, at least a TVA member. Like, hey, I'm part of the TVA.
Woman Shaku's character, or Ramona.
Something happened. Like, there's not really a connection. It's like, no, the multiverse of madness happened because of America Chavez, not because of what happened with Loki. It's like, and so it makes you wonder, like, what's going on? What are you doing?
Well, I guess to play devil's advocate, the reason why some of the madness is going on because the TVA doesn't exist anymore. I guess. Well, it does, because we know that.
It does.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess
they don't even talk about it.
Fair point. While this is going on, because story-wise, low-key is happening while all this madness is happening. So maybe the TVA was dismantled while some of this stuff was. I don't know. We'll see with Loki season 2, which they're filming actually as we're recording this, which is great.
And I also feel like these shows are taking too long to come out, because like all this talk about Kang, like we're not getting Ant-Man till like what, next year or the year 2020?
I think it's March of next year. After let me pull it up here. I think this is an updated list. And this list is kind of not as updated, but I think they bumped up what is it called, Quantumanium, and it's taking the spot of Captain Marvel. So they swapped those a couple months ago. So it's actually February is Quantumanium, and then later next year is Marvel's 2.
So it's like, it also part of that also feels like, because of all this stuff that's happening within the Marvel cosmology, because it's taking so long for all of these shows to it's like you mentioned, like, when are we going to see Thor go up against Hercules? Is it going to take another 5 years? So I think that's also part of the slot. Like, Marvel is big enough, I feel like, at this point where they could shoot all of these properties at the same time, and have them like on a set schedule to release, where it's not taking 5 years for another Thor movie to come out or whatever, or like all this stuff that's happening with Loki and Kang. Now we still got to wait because Loki came out, what was it, last year? Now we still got to wait. So it's been, 3 years? We got to wait for Kang to whatever he's going to be doing. And I doubt it's going to be his full grand plan. It's probably just going to be his introduction. And it's like,
to the big,
how does that also connect with the incursions that's going on or whatever? Like, and then Dr. Doom is coming in the picture.
You're making my brain just
Howard Stern, Howard Stern.
I can't. These are the questions that I'm asking. That's why it's like it doesn't make any sense to set all this up and then we're gonna get it in like 5-10 years. Like I'm gonna be 50 by the time Secret Wars comes out. Like it's not a vibe. That's not
even Blade hasn't even started shooting yet. Like what's going on? So I doubt that's coming out next year because
and if it does, it's gonna probably be rushed, and I don't want that. I want Blade to be properly introduced to the MCU. So there's a lot, man, and that it's a gift and a curse. It's a gift and a curse. They have all the toys which DC's had for years, and we see how bad they've been handling it. But now Marvel has all their toys. They've been building these C-list, D-list characters, and now they have the A+ characters. So we haven't even gotten X-Men.
I feel like Namor will be the first time they actually name drop mutant in the MCU.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that costume is pretty. The little leak or concept art. The Black Panther. That trailer is gonna break the internet. But listen, man, we can, as you all can see, we can talk for hours. This is why we geek out about this Marvel stuff because it's something we love. Even when things don't work, it still gets us excited for what the future holds. So, Amanda, Michael, you guys again. Mike's probably getting ready for another red carpet appearance. We're gonna see him on that Black Panther.
I was gonna say that's probably gonna be the next red carpet I go to. It's gonna be Black Panther in November.
Oh my god!
And
I'm gonna scream for
writing a million other amazing articles on her various platforms. These two are busy, so I'm so glad they were able to spend time with me and talk about this film. And I look forward to chopping it up with them again in the future. She-Hulk's right around the corner and all that stuff. But hey. Let them get back to their lives. I appreciate you, Amanda and Mike. And as we outro out, starting with you, Amanda, what's next for the people? And we're putting this out probably Friday. So by then, what will be out for people to explore by in a couple days from now?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really missed Mike and his extensive knowledge on the MCU because now my mind is fried and I was just like, there's so many things. But this is great. You guys can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I have my Thor review, which I have to still edit. I'm probably going to drop it Thursday. I missed Marvel episode 4 and 5. I was kind of behind, so I have to do that. I have Hello, Goodbye, and everything in between. From Netflix dropping tomorrow, my review on Ready Steady Cut, because that's another site that I write for. And that's all I have for this week. It's going to be pretty chill. And I'm excited.
Awesome, Amanda. I'm so excited to have you on. I'm looking forward to those articles. We still got some good stuff to look forward to the rest of the month. The Gray Man, which Russo brothers and Ryan and all of them, and Chris Evans and Nope. Excited for that. So guys, Amanda's links, reviews, great articles, and more importantly, just a great person that you all want to support and check out her content. So definitely do so. Mike, man, it's been too long. We got to do this more often, man. I'm so glad to have you on.
We can't make it like Thor 5, where it takes me 5 years to come back.
Yeah, man, we got to definitely link up again. And I'm so glad to have you on. And I want to definitely, like I said, for Amanda, you guys are just so incredible. I love what you're doing. And the brand you're building and the message you're putting out there to people, and also like you said, manifesting things means a lot. And then just seeing where you're at, man, and Amanda as well, you guys are crushing it. So, Mike, if you want to let people at home know what you got lined up,
manifestation is definitely real.
Man,
everything that can, like a lot of things that I've done this year is because I was like, I don't know how I'm doing it, but I'm doing it this year. Like I hit up Frankie. I was like, Frankie, I don't know how. I don't know who I got to talk to. I don't know whose dick I need to suck. But I am going to the Doctor Strange red carpet premiere. We are going. I don't know, and it ended up happening. Not only just one, but I ended up going to two.
Go.
So like,
you all watching at home things, and also too. To be fair,
sponsorship with Netflix that I got this year. Like I don't know where the hell that came from.
I'm gonna tell you something with Amanda and Mike and all the various people we had on the channel. Yes, you can speak things to this, but they also put in the work, guys. You watch Mike what he's doing on his YouTube, on his TikToks. You watch Amanda on the various different platforms. You got to put in that work too, guys. So you're looking at two people that are two of the hardest workers I know out there. So Mike, man, like I said, shooting it to you. What's next for the people?
I was gonna say, speaking of putting in the work, I'm about to contradict that right now because I'm like, I still gotta put out. So by the time this video comes out, because I need to force myself, I still have to put out my review for the Black Phone. I'm behind on that. So be on the lookout for that. I just recently put out a review for B-Boy Blues and also another review for Love Victor season 3. I'm also getting together with a friend of mine. Again, we're going to review Fire Island for Hulu, and check out by the time this video comes out, my non-spoiler review for Thor Love and Thunder will be out with Fantastic Frankie. We're recording that on Thursday. And then on Monday, we're going to go live to talk Thor Love and Thunder. Still got to do the Umbrella Academy season 3. So be on the lookout for that. And just follow me for, your Black and queer representation on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel across all social media. So
there you go.
That's pretty much all I got. I don't know how, Ellie, I don't know how you be having time for, like, sometimes when I be see you come out with these videos and I'll be like, Jesus Christ, like I need to get my life together. Cause like
Thor power, man. Thor, he's got some of the Thor.
Well, he needs to give me some of that. Cause like
literally Elliot's a machine, man. Like
you guys are the motivators. So I appreciate it, guys. But again, Amanda and Mike's information's in the link of this video. Like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys are awesome. Can't wait to talk more Marvel, DC, horror, comedy, you name it. You guys are awesome. So thank you all for watching this discussion. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you on the next one.
We love you 3000.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.